Afternoon. How we doing?
Good.
All right. Well, we're kind of grinding through the last week of camp here. We've got some practices this week, and then obviously preparations for TCU. So it's kind of our last chance to really nail down the fundamentals and some of the pillars that will take us through the season, both individually and individual fundamentals, and also some foundational things. Offensively, defensively, in the kicking game that will come up, probably in every game, or elements will in every game. So hopefully get a little bit of heat this week. Looks like it's starting to warm up. That's good. And this is kind of the last week of training camp here. We'll merge into game preparations here starting next week. We're just kind of getting through the final stages of our training camp preparations for the season.
We'll start in the back middle.
Hey, Brady Marks from the Athletic. Just students back on campus finally, less than 2 weeks now. How would you sort of bless the excitement around the program now that you guys are so close to actually the game?
Yeah, well, I mean, excitement for us is honestly every day. Our meetings, our practices, our opportunity to get better and improve things. With training camp ending and classes starting, we're on a different schedule, practicing in the afternoon and so forth. So we have a little less time with the players, a little different schedule, but trying to make the most of that time. We're on the 20-hour rule now, different than training camp. So it's a little adjustment, but we're still we're ready for it. It's time to get into preparation for games and start playing games here. In less than 2 weeks. Thanks.
Front row on the left.
Adam Smith, Inside Carolina. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask, as you're talking about shifting gears into game prep mode next week, because that first game is on a Monday, and then you turn around and you got 5 days to the second game. Like, when you get into next week, are there challenges in terms of the actual game prep where it's not a normal week leading up to a Saturday? How do you think you'll try to navigate that?
Well, it'll be similar to what we had in the NFL, where we had Sunday and Thursday games. Every team in the NFL had a Thursday game, so that goes all the way back to some Thanksgiving games. Really, at the beginning of my career, we had those. So that Sunday to Thursday is a quick turnaround. It happens one time, so that'll be a little bit different than all the rest of the weeks. But yeah, we'll try to make the most of that opportunity in compliance with our time constraints and rules and travel and so forth. But it is what it is. We've talked about it, we plan for it, but we're not worried about it right now. We'll deal with that when we get to it. The Monday night game is since it's the opening game, it doesn't really. We just pretend like it's a Saturday game, back everything back on a daily basis to make Monday look like Saturday. It'll be the next short week that'll have a bigger adjustment.
Gotcha.
Thanks, Adam.
Front
Just
right.
need to identify still.
Yeah, please.
Andrew Jones, Tar Heel 24/7.
Yeah.
What have you learned from both lines of scrimmage now that you guys have had a chance to hit a lot the last week and a half?
It's really all about fundamentals. It's all about fundamentals. There are times when we do things well and they look good, and then there's times when we fundamentally don't do things well and they don't look good. And so it's really about consistency, footwork, and especially on the offensive line, all 5 guys seeing the game kind of through one set of eyes, all recognizing what the front is, what our adjustments are in the blocking schemes, and how the 5 of us are going to block 5 opponents or 6 in pass protection if there's a duel on or something like that. But making sure that all 5 of us see it the same way, because if one of us is off, then that's it's a problem. So, but the little things, the fundamentals, the footwork, the hand placement, the blocking techniques, and defensively, defeating one-on-one blocks, defeating double team blocks, defeating combination blocks, as well as transitioning from the running game to pass rush and play action passes. And then our pass rush on third down. There's a lot of different skills that need to be worked on in pads, in competitive contact situations that we weren't able to do. And so we're making progress on all those. But when you look at it, it's a decent amount. And then we start adding pass rush games and run stunts where multiple people are involved in movement on the defensive line. Again, it involves more than just my technique. It also involves collectively 2 or 3 of us working together on different stunts and so forth. So, you know, it's more to work on than we have time to work on. We're moving ahead with it, you know, like everybody else. If we had 6 weeks to prepare, we could use all 6, but we don't. We'll take the time that we have, and you know, we'll be ready to go and go on from there.
Quick follow-up on that. You said it before you guys started doing that, that's where you're gonna get a lot more answers with those guys when you start hitting.
Yes.
Have you got a lot of the answers you were looking for on both sides?
Well, as I said, it's very much of a work in progress, but we know a lot more than we did, for sure, a lot more. But we still have a long way to go, and players are improving, and we'll just see what the rates of improvement are. You know, some guys are maybe improving at this kind of rate, and other guys here, and then there's a talent level, and then it's how players work together. It's not necessarily, you know, these 5 players individually, it's what 5 players collectively function together the best, and some of that involves communication and adjustments and so forth. And so, again, we're just trying to find not only the best players, but ultimately the best offensive line combination that works. And so, you know, we've also moved some players around a little bit so that, you know, centers and guards, a little bit of guard and tackle, swing tackles. Again, just to try to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity, but at the same time not make it too confusing or, you know, too much of a, you know, mental gymnastics. Want to play aggressively, but the flexibility would help them both in their career and also in their understanding of what other players are doing on the same play, which will hopefully help them play better. So it's a, you know, combination of those things.
Right next to him?
Hey Bill, Noah White, Target 24/7. Nice to meet you. Alex Taylor's meeting with us today. What have you seen out of him this fall, and where have you seen him grow the most?
Well, again, I've only seen him since the spring, right? I mean, I wasn't here with him last year, but smart guy, very dependable, can play multiple positions, you know, has been productive in multiple areas, you know, down the field as a route runner, and making adjustments in the passing game based on, you know, roll coverage, off coverage, press coverage, things like that. So he's one of the players that the quarterbacks have a lot of confidence and trust in, that he's earned through, you know, making good decisions and being dependable over, you know, multiple days, weeks, and routes. So, you know, glad we have him, but really like the versatility that he brings. He can line up in a couple different spots for us, and that helps you formationally.
Thank you.
Middle left?
Bill, Aaron Beard, the AP. You checked your career is you checked almost every box of championships and so forth. You've done a lot of things. A lot of people have said, "I'm good with this," but you're still here. You're on ground zero, building a college program for the first time. What is it you think that keeps you as hooked to this sport, to building a team, to preparing for a game? What do you think is the part that has you most hooked to this?
Yeah, really, I think all of it. I mean, I enjoy all of it. I enjoy the bringing players onto the team, whether that's recruiting or transfer or scouting those players, evaluating them. I enjoy the team building, you know, bringing the team together, seeing these guys come together and learn how to become a team, the strategy, the X's and O's, and the competition of it. It's a great conference. There's a lot of great players and teams in this conference, great coaches. Had an opportunity to spend some time with them in a couple different, you know, ACC functions. And, you know, guys like Billy O'Brien that are, you know, great coaches, Dabo, a ton of respect for them and the programs they run. So, you know, I enjoy all of it and hope that I can help our players and our coaches and our team perform well by doing my job and, you know, giving leadership to the program.
As a quick follow, is it much of a different vibe than going through building a team in the NFL level? I mean, is it football is football, or does it feel different in the college level in that regard?
Well, I mean, it's definitely different. The dynamics are different. Once you actually have players, I mean, that's, I would say, more similar. But, you know, Mike's got a ton of experience doing this. He's been great to work with. He's got a good staff. We have a lot of people who have experiences either with us or similar to the way we want to try to do things and build a program, and that's been really helpful. But the actual coaching the players, that's the coaching part of it. When you talk about building a program, that's very much a collaborative effort between the scouting and recruiting department and the coaching staff and the support staff as well for trying to bring things together. So, training's a big part of that with Moses and his staff. There's a lot of team building that goes on there. There's a lot of team development improvement that goes on there. So, are the players as strong or as fast as they are when they're 23, 24, 26 years old? Probably not, but I'd say the rate of improvement is a lot higher here. We've seen a lot more growth and improvement than what we would in the NFL in terms of, percentages and the raw numbers, maybe not quite to the heights, but the rate of improvement and the growth percentage-wise has been much greater than what we ever saw in the NFL. So, you know that you're helping the players improve, and they see themselves improve, and generally speaking, they want to work harder so they can see more of it. So it's been very refreshing and I'd say satisfying. We'll see what we do on the field, but that's, we're coming along there too. We'll see how it turns out.
Back right.
Michael O'Donnell from Carolina Sports Network. What are the challenges that you have in building cohesion with your offensive line in such a compressed amount of time? And as a side to that, is there any adjustment that needs to be made or coached with your offensive line based on whether they have a left-handed or right-handed quarterback in the game?
Yeah, I think the lefty-righty thing has, a little bit involved with play calling, especially, play action passes, things like that. When you have to turn your back on the defense and the footwork, I think if you go back and look at, like Coach Walsh, Bill Walsh, he's a player a coach that's talked a lot about that, from Montana to Steve Young as an example, and things like that, how it changed their offense. And I would agree with a lot of those. Fundamentally, it's the same, but there are some nuances that are a little bit different. The thing with the offensive line, again, as I mentioned, was just the individual personal development for each player, but also collectively how they work together as a unit. And sometimes if you have to make an adjustment, a player's out, do you move the player behind him ahead, or do you move somebody else from another position over and move somebody up at that position where there maybe is a little more depth, things like that. Maybe it's a combination of both. But those are the kind of things that it's the five guys that are out there, but I know from experience that very rarely does any team play with the same five offensive linemen through the entire season. It just statistically doesn't happen very often. It's great when it does, but usually that's not the case. And I think you're probably talking about 10 to 15% of the NFL teams where you would see that. It was maybe a couple teams a year, but for the most part, everybody had to deal with some type of changes on the offensive line, and I'm sure that's true in college football too, based on the time I spent scouting it. So that's what you have to be ready for. You have to be ready to put your best guys out there in the best positions, but also stuff happens, and then you have to be ready to adjust. And what are those adjustments? And but the lefty-righty thing, I think, there's some nuances to it, no doubt about it. I don't think it's dramatic, though. I think you could still, you run your offense the way you run your offense.
Back left.
Hey Bill, Walter from WRAL. How close do you think you are to naming a starting quarterback, and how would you evaluate that competition so far?
Yeah, we're getting ready to do that this afternoon, announce the starting lineups and the play times and how we do substitute and everything. So Brandon will get that to you as soon as we get done. We want to make sure we get that out there right away.
All right, sounds good.
If I could follow up, since I appreciate the tongue in cheek. Last time we did talk to you, talked about moving to the evaluation stage.
Mm-hmm.
What have you kind of taken away from that so far?
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. Some players have separated themselves from others, and that's excuse me. Yeah, that's a big part of what last week and this week really are about, are the evaluations and the separation. Who's earned playing time, who's earned positions, and who hasn't. I think that will be finalized at a later point in time, but certainly it's starting to. There's starting to be some separation, and experience can be a big factor in that. That's always a hard one when a player who's maybe less talented but more experienced outperforms a player who's less experienced and more talented, and then you just as a coach, wonder what will happen when that less experienced player gains the experience because he has more talent and maybe more potential. You know, when do those lines cross, and when does the younger, less experienced player, you know, overtake the other one? What's the timeline on that? And I'd say that's, you know, a little bit of the challenge here in college football is there's a little bit less time to make that. You know, you have the 3 preseason games in the NFL and a couple scrimmages, and sometimes that will start to declare a little bit quicker. You know, here, you know, we'll see how they play when they actually play in games. You know, we don't have the preseason games, so we'll just see how all that works out. But yeah, there's definitely some separation that's occurred, and I wouldn't be surprised if a couple things change from where we are now to a week from now. But we'll just have to see how that turns out. I can't tell you how players are going to perform. That'll be up to them.
Front row on the left.
Bill, Rod Baxley, Fayetteville Observer. How would you describe the physicality you've seen so far in the live periods, full pads, and has it lived up to your standard to this point with the group?
Yeah, you know, we've done a lot more live work here than we ever did in the NFL at any team I was ever on. So that part of it's been actually an interesting thing to see. You know, some of the coaches that are on our staff that have had a lot of college experience have talked about the necessity to do that. Again, obviously without preseason games, it's, you know, we do need to do it, and we've done it. And so it's been good, the intensity's been good, the competitiveness has been good. I think, you know, we've really emphasized trying to practice, learn how to practice and practice very competitively, but at the same time, you know, taking safety into account, knowing that we're, you know, got to take care of our teammates, and the players have done a really good job of adapting to that. We really haven't had too many issues, very few injuries to deal with, and even though we've had quite a bit of contact in our past days, so I think that part's been really, really good. The amount of contact that we've had with the very few guys, you know, losing any playing time at all because of it has been good.
Last one on the left here. Great.
Grant Sasha,
Right, sorry.
There's been a lot of talk in regards to the cost of the playoff and its expansion. Of course, Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti brought out a model where he can expand it to 24 to 28 teams. What's your thoughts about that? And are there any similarities with the expansion of the cost of the playoffs and the NFL playoffs?
Yeah, thanks. I think that one's kind of over my pay grade. You know, I have a ton of respect for Tony. I think Tony's done a great job as commissioner of the Big Ten and great too in the SEC for that matter. And whatever the conference commissioners and the NCAA and the college presidents decide is what they decide. I'm gonna kind of back out of that one, and whatever it is. I'm trying to focus on getting our team ready to play this season and do the best I can here. And I'm not sure I know all the information and all the ramifications of those decisions and how it impacts, you know, academics and college and conference playoffs and everything else. It's just, I just don't think I'm the right person to talk to about that. So, but I'm not going to get into a debate with Tony Petitti. I have a ton of respect for Tony, and if that's his opinion, I'm sure he's got a good basis for saying it. And there may be other opinions that, you know, I'm not aware of that also have a lot of validity. So, thank you. Sorry I can't be more helpful on that one.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks.